What's up, 6th grade? This is Miss Childers. This is NS1, the review for dividing fractions. So there's a few things that you need to know in order to be able to successfully divide fractions. The first thing that you definitely need to know is how to convert mixed numbers into fractions.
Alright, so when we talk about mixed numbers, we're talking about numbers that have a whole number and a fraction. 1.5. This is a great example. What you need to do is essentially remember how we talked about you're making the circle. 1 times 2 is 2 plus 1, your numerator right here, plus 1 equals 3. This 3 right here is going to be your new numerator, and your denominator stays the exact same. Okay? So just to run through that again, if you have 2 and 3/4, you make your circle. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 is your numerator. Your denominator stays the exact same. Comes straight over. So 11/4 is the same as 2 and 3/4. That's the first really important thing that you need to know in order to divide fractions. If you can't get a mixed number into a fraction form, the dividing of it is going to be really difficult. So just one more example. 3 and 1, 6. What is that equal to? 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 19 is my numerator. My denominator stays the same. Okay, that is how you are going to convert fractions or mixed numbers into fractions. Now if you remember, they're improper fractions because the number on top, the numerator, is bigger than the denominator. Okay, so that is step 1. So you should have a worksheet in front of you that gives you an opportunity to practice changing mixed numbers into fractions. So I want you to pause the video and complete that worksheet. Alright, now that we've talked about step 1 and how to convert mixed numbers to fractions, let's talk about how you're actually going to divide fractions. Let's take a real easy problem. You've got 3/2 divided by 1/2. Okay? How are you going to solve this? This does not mean that you're going to do 3 divided by 1 and 2 divided by 2. This is a very common mistake, and this is not what it means. Okay? What you have to do, that first fraction stays the exact same. Okay? But what happens is the second part of the problem is going to change. You're going to flip the second fraction. You're going to use the reciprocal. That was the fancy math word to say that you just flip it upside down. So now the 2 is on top and the 1 is on bottom. Now, when you do that, this division sign changes to multiplication. Okay? And at this point, all you do is multiply across. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. So 3/2 divided by 1/2 is equal to 6/2. Now, you want to take this 6/2 and you want to make it more simple. Remember how we talked about turning improper fractions into mixed numbers? 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3. So my answer, 3/2 divided by 1/2, is 3. Okay, my first fraction stayed the exact same, times my reciprocal. The second fraction is the one you flip. You don't flip the first fraction, You only flip the second fraction. Okay? Let's try one more example. Let's say we have 3/4 divided by 1/6 equals. Okay? Remember, my first fraction stays the exact same. I don't do anything to it. My second fraction gets flipped upside down. I use the reciprocal, and my division turns to multiplication. 3 times 6, 18. 4 times 1, 4. So now I have an improper fraction because the top number is bigger than the bottom, so I just need to turn it into a mixed number. 18 divided by 4. Well, 4 will go in. It gives me 16, 2, a remainder of 2. This number comes up and is on top of the denominator, which is still a 4. So 18 over 4 is actually equal to 4 2/4, which I can easily see that this 2/4 can be simplified to 4 1/2. Okay? So take it all in. 3/4 divided by 1/6. 3/4 stayed the same. Now I switch it to multiplication because I'm using my reciprocal. Now the 6 is on top and the 1 is on bottom. 3 times 6 was 18. 4 times 1 was 4. When I divided 18 divided by 4, I got 4 2/4. My remainder came and was the numerator. And then I just simplified 2/4 to 4 1/2. Okay, so that is how you actually divide fractions. Okay, after you have converted mixed numbers to fractions, this is how you're actually going to divide them. You should have a worksheet now in front of you that gives you the chance to practice simply dividing fractions. Go ahead and do that now. All right, I have in front of me the NS1 dividing fractions quiz. Okay, and we're going to do a couple of these problems together as practice, and then you can finish the rest on your own time. Okay, question number 1 says, a chef prepared 7.5 pounds of mashed potatoes. She serves the mashed potatoes in 3/8 pound servings. How many servings has she prepared? Now, my first clue is that this is a dividing fractions quiz. So the chances are high that I'm going to need to divide these numbers. But in case that wasn't clear to me, I can also see that she originally has this many pounds of potatoes and she's going to be dividing them into 3/8 servings, which is my clue again that I am going to be dividing. So for this problem, I have 7.5 divided by 3/8. My 7.5 was the original amount she started with, and 3/8 was the amount of serving sizes she was making. The first thing I need to do is turn this 7.5 into a fraction. So I'm going to come over here and turn 7.5. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 15 over 2. Okay, so I can rewrite this problem as 15 over 2 divided by 3/8. Now, this is just the simple division of fractions problem that I practiced earlier. My first fraction stays the same. I switch to multiplication and I flip the second one. So now my 8 is on top and the 3 is on bottom. Now, 2 times 3 is 6. 15 times 8, oh, that's hard math. Let me hurry over here and do my multiplication. 8 times 5, 40. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 120. So, 120 over 6. Now, this is definitely an improper fraction, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do 120 divided by 6.
6 goes into 12 2 times. Perfect. And it can't go into 0. So 20. So 120 over 6 is actually equal to 20. Is that one of my possible answers? Yes, it is. So A is my correct answer. Okay? So I went from 7.5 divided by 3/8. I turned 7.5 into a mixed number, 15 over 2, divided by 3/8. First fraction stayed the same. I flipped my second one and switched to multiplication. And then I got 15 times 8 is 120. 2 times 3 is 6. 120 divided by 6 was 20, which was option A. Okay? Now, you try doing number 2 on your own now. Pause the video, and after you've done it, hit play.
Alright, hopefully this one was a little easier. You didn't have to convert any mixed numbers into fractions. Jerry has 2/3 yards of fabric to use for making some puppets. She needs 1/6 yard for each puppet. How many puppets can Jerry make with her fabric? So I figured out that she started with 2/3 of yards, and she needs 1/6 to make every puppet. So I did 2/3 divided by 1/6 to figure out how many puppets she could make. My first fraction stayed the same. I switched to multiplication and used the reciprocal, so the 6 is on top now. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So, with 2/3 yards of fabric, Jerry can make 4 puppets. Okay? So, at this point, go ahead and finish the review page that you have. And when you finish and you feel confident that you
Are ready to take the NS1 quiz? Let me know. I have your quiz ready to go. All right, good luck.